study that went with this morning's passage. At the beginning, ask us, it's kind of an opening question, make a list of as many fears that keep people focused on or having enough money. List as many fears as you can around people making or having enough money. So we came up with a list: retirement, health care, daily needs, college for kids. And then there's always a personal question, which I don't mind sharing if I have a response for that. List your personal anxieties about making and having enough money. And what I wrote down, and what I shared with the group was, I worry about having too much money. Let me read you the scripture, the parables from today. Luke chapter 12, beginning with verse 13. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But Jesus said to him, "Friend, who set me to be a judge or arbitrator over you?" And Jesus said to them, "Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." Then he told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly. And he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich toward God.'" May the Lord add his blessing to the reading and the hearing of his word. And all God's people said, Amen. Amen. Well, it has been said that you can never be too rich or too thin. Does anybody know who was the first person to say that? This is a trivia thing. This is one of the wonders of the internet. You can find out stuff like this. The first person who said you can never be too rich or too thin is said to be Wallace Simpson. And if you know your history, or if you're old enough, you lived through part of this history, in 1936, King of Great Britain, King Edward, abdicated the throne so he could marry Wallace Simpson, a wealthy divorcee from the United States. She was both slender and rich. Now, any recovering anorexic will tell you that yes, you can be too thin. Can you be too rich? I know you can be too poor. Full disclosure, I have never been poor. I've had the good fortune of always being employed when I wanted to be employed. The only times I've not been employed was when my job was going to school. I think about seminary. I think about college earlier on. So, this helps if you are able to work and able to find a job. This helps keep you from poverty. Other advantages, I've only owed money a few times in my life. Borrowed money to go to college, but knew I was going to have a good career coming out and paid off those loans early. My first car, I borrowed for that, paid that loan off early. I borrowed twice for houses when I was back in my first job, software engineer, and then later in married life with Jill, we borrowed. But at least there you're borrowing on an asset that we hope appreciates. So, not going in debt, that tends to keep you out of poverty. I've always been able to live beneath my means. This is one of the advantages of being cheap, frugal. So the result is I'm always saving some. I'm always saving some for a future need. So Jill and I, we put some money away in hopes of helping our kids go through college. And then there's this looming thing that's called retirement. Now, here's where my fear comes from, my worry. That, as I said earlier, what if I'm too rich. Here's where it comes from. I get these statements. I get them now by email or electronically on my retirement funds. And I'm amazed how much those things have grown to. Some years of savings from my first career, and now the church and I have been putting money in, and thanks to the magic of compound interest and stock market, there's a lot of money in those accounts. Despite being faithful givers, Jill and I are still becoming rich. And even after our kids go through college, it may well still be that we are rich. Listen to the words of the rich man. Put them up on the screens. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry. That sounds like retirement to me. Relax, eat, drink, be merry. So, I don't know, I just want to be careful about that because of God's response to the rich man's thought. God said to him, you fool. You know, it never goes well when those are the first words. Right? You fool. This very night, your life is being demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? I do not want to hear those words back from God. I don't want to go there. So, 3 weeks ago, I got this email. It was a news article. Some of you probably belong to LinkedIn. It's like social media for working people. I'm on LinkedIn. I got this 3 weeks ago, this message about a friend of mine, and you get these news releases sometimes, and you and I are friends on LinkedIn, and I don't know how things get published on there, but they do, and it described my friend as a billionaire. That's with a B. A billionaire. A billionaire. This is my old friend. His name is Jeff, also. That is a lot. I think $1 million is a lot of money. Anybody else in that club think $1 million? But $1 billion is 1,000 million. $1 billion. Now, Jeff is 1 year younger than me. We had the same first job out of college. I went to work for Harris Corporation up in Melbourne, software engineer. And my friend Jeff came along a year later, and same company, did the same kind of work that I did. And Jeff was there for, at best I can remember, maybe 2 years, and then he moved on. He went to work for Texas Instruments, and I kept in touch with him for a year or so after that. But then, you could just kind of fall out of touch with people. And then that was the case with me and Jeff. 3 years ago, I'm going through some old stuff at my house, and I come across this piece of paper that my friend Jeff had done when we were both doing the same work. It was just a little comic piece that he had done. It was cartoon characters from Captain Crunch cereal. You know how sometimes you get stickers in a box of cereal? So he made this up about our workplace, and it was quite funny. So I saved it. And I thought, I wonder what Jeff is doing these days. I hadn't heard from him in, it could be 30 years. So this is another wonder of the internet, right? You can find people. So I just do some searching, and this name comes up. It's a fairly common name, and I'm thinking, can this be the guy? But I look at the picture, he has much less hair now, but it's him. It's him. And here he has become a serial entrepreneur. Now by that I do not mean Captain Crunch breakfast cereal entrepreneur. I mean he's starting companies one after another in a row. His biggest early success was he was part of the team that started Priceline. Very successful online hotel reservation system. So I reached out to him, and they scanned this thing and said, hey, found this work of yours, and we had a little back and forth. About a year later, it's been 2 years ago, I saw in the newspaper that he was coming to Jacksonville. He used to live in the Jacksonville area. So he was coming to speak at a conference. So I reached out to him and said, man, I'd love to buy you dinner or breakfast if you can get together sometime before or after to the conference. And he said, So we did it, and we had a meal together. Well, 3 weeks ago when I'm finding out that he's now a billionaire with a B, I said to my kids, I said, hey, I had dinner with a billionaire. And they said, well, when was that? I said, well, 2 years ago. I just found out he's a billionaire. They said, well, was he a billionaire then? Well, I don't know. It's probably an 800 millionaire. But this sparked a conversation because my kids said, well, he ought to give that money away. Because, he doesn't need all that money. And I said, well, we have money that we don't need. Should we give it away? You hear the crickets chirping at that point. I think back to that meal 2 years ago that I had with my friend Jeff, and I remember him talking. He didn't say anything about the wealth he made or the wealth he had. He talked about what he was doing now, and he said he's just taking a break from starting companies. He said what he's doing is he's wanting to help other people who have an entrepreneurial bent. So he is spending his time mentoring people. He mentors college students. He mentors people who have a good idea that could become a business. And he has a special heart for mentoring people who are willing to apply themselves to solving problems relating to poverty, and especially extreme poverty. He's done work with people overseas, as well as in this country. In fact, the reason he was in Jacksonville, he was the keynote speaker for a conference for entrepreneurs. Now, as I think back about it, I know you always get an honorarium, right, if you're a keynote speaker to something. For a guy who has, say, $800 million, they are not going to be able to pay him enough, for it to make a difference in his net worth. And it just goes along with who he is, or at least who he's become. It's not about the money for this man. See, my friend is not the rich man in the story. Let me share with you the email that I wrote Jeff. After I got home from dinner with him 2 years ago, I sat down and I wrote this email. Greatly enjoyed catching up with you for a couple of hours tonight, Jeff. Thanks for the privilege. Seems to me you've been gainfully unemployed these last few years. That's the term I use to describe the retired people in my congregation who make it their business to be out and about serving. I'll be interested to learn about the next chapter in your life. As I drove home from dinner, a quote came to my mind, commonly attributed to John Wesley, though historians don't know its origin. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. This sounds very much like your pursuit. More power to you. Keep up the good work and enjoy presenting tomorrow. Now here's what's being said about Jeff these days, because I was just doing some looking up. I read this bio. Jeff has done 8 startups. Of those, 2 were acquired, 2 were IPOs, stock market offerings, 2 failed, and 2 are still going. He now spends his time mentoring other entrepreneurs as he perceives entrepreneurs as the solution to a lot of the world's great problems. And one article listed this as Jeff's legacy challenge. It says, write down the answers to the following questions. If your funeral was today, how would people summarize you and your life? And the second question, what do you wish people would say about you the day you finally die? And it's not on the slide, but beneath that are these words. If the above is your legacy, then what are you doing to achieve that? This will give you a lot of focus. The fulfillment doesn't come from making $1 billion. It comes from looking at how many other people's lives were made better because of the success and hard work. I think he's onto something with this legacy challenge. And if you're interested in the Jeff Bennett legacy challenge, I would just tweak it a little bit. I would say, answer these questions. If your funeral was today, how would God summarize you and your life? Because really, it's God's opinion matters more than people's opinion. Can I get an amen?
Yes.
What do you wish God would say about you the day you finally die? I certainly would not want to hear the words, "you fool." To be the first ones out of God's mouth. But these are legacy questions. These are legacy questions. Now, my rich friend is most definitely not the rich man in this parable. And I am all for giving away money. I have gained more from what I have given than from what I still have. So I'm going to give. In fact, for billionaires, and there are not a lot of these in the world, as it turns out. There are between 500 and 600 billionaires in the United States, just over 2,000 in the world. But there is Warren Buffett. You know Warren Buffett personally? Up until earlier this year, up until March, he was the second wealthiest man in the world. He's been eclipsed now by Jeff Bezos of Amazon. He came up with this giving pledge that he offers to fellow billionaires. They pledge to give half or more of their wealth, either while they're living or make arrangements for this while they die, to give to philanthropic, charitable work. And a lot of billionaires have taken Warren Buffett's pledge, including the richest man in the world, Bill Gates. And I don't know if my friend Jeff is going to take that pledge or not, but I can tell you that he is right now giving away the most valuable thing that he has. And that is his time. He's 55 years old, but he's not, what's it say in here, relaxing, enjoying, eat, and drink, making merry. That's not him. That's not what he's doing. I came across this on the internet as well. This is just a few weeks ago. Jeff himself posted, "I'm in Greece now to be part of Disrupt Greece with industry disruptors and fortune. Entrepreneurs are key to growing the Greek economy." And if you know Greece's recent history, this is a nation that's in fiscal trouble. Just last Sunday, Jeff posted this. "I'm in Vietnam now, working with entrepreneurs at Startup Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh City and Surf Da Nang in beautiful Da Nang. The ecosystem here is really growing. Come visit." See what he's doing? He's going to these places in the world that are underserved, that often have a number of people in poverty, sometimes in extreme poverty, and he's coaching people there who can make a difference. Posted one entrepreneur